3 decades, Hosni Mubarak finally gives in to the demands of the people. Steps down as president, the military has taken over Egypt.
The youth should play a role in shaping the next phase. They should be considered in the next phase preparation.
What next? There's no leader acceptable to all, and there are many changes to be made in Egypt before the elections can be held. We'll discuss in detail what the future holds for the country, which is the nerve center of the Arab world.
World leaders and international community applaud change in Egypt. India hopes this will usher in a peaceful process of transition to a robust democracy. Iran hopes this will free Egypt of American and Israeli influence. Hello and a warm welcome to NewsX. I am Akash Soni. The momentous changes which are taking place in Egypt at the moment. Could there be a domino effect which could really change the world order? What impact could this have on oil prices? And what if this kind of change comes to Saudi Arabia? That would be monumental. We'll talk about all that in this bulletin.
Hi, I'm Sana Khan. We have with us in the studio Mr. Qamar Agha. He's an expert on West Asian affairs. Thank you, sir, for joining us this morning. Before that, a look at the other big stories as well. Former joint director of the CBI spills the beans in the new book revealing how the premier investigating agency works under the government pressure.
Space Commission to meet in Delhi to decide on the cancellation of the controversial Devas agreement.
Government says it wants to ban tobacco but also admits under pressure from lobbies. NewsX asks how serious is the government considering internationally used gory pictorial warnings are not in place in India.
After Ratan Tata, Bollywood actor Shahid Kapoor is all set to fly American F-16 Super Viper combat aircraft. At the Aero India show, Shahid is playing a fighter pilot in his next movie, Mausam.
And we'll also tell you how the Dabangg girl Sonakshi Sinha is giving tough time to Bollywood's queen Katrina Kaif.
We are witness to the making of contemporary history. This is a revolution which will be taught in books in schools and colleges in the future as the Egyptian Revolution of 2011, a bloodless, high-tech revolution led by the youth of the country.
Yes, after a 30-year rule, Hosni Mubarak finally stepped down as president of Egypt. He handed over power to a military council just a day after he handed most of his powers to the vice president.
Mubarak left Egypt, it is being said, for the Sinai resort of Sharm el-Sheikh next to the Red Sea. It was a moment a nation was waiting for 18 days and perhaps decades as it erupted in joy.
It was around 9:30 p.m. when NewsX broke the news.
History has been made today. President Hosni Mubarak has stepped down as the president of Egypt. He's put the military council in charge of affairs here in the country.
Egypt exploded with joy, tears and relief as the pro-democracy protesters brought down Hosni Mubarak with a momentous march on his palaces. At a presidential palace in Cairo, where demonstrators had gathered in the thousands, people flashed the V for Victory sign and hugged the military. Several 100,000 protesters reached Cairo's central Tahrir Square, cheering and waving Egyptian flags. A city of 18 million parties in relief after Vice President Omar Suleiman announced Mubarak's exit on national television.
تخليه عن منصب رئيس الجمهورية وكلف المجلس الأعلى للقوات المسلحة.
On Thursday, Mubarak handed some of his authority to Suleiman while keeping his title. But the Friday's protest appeared to have pushed the military into forcing him out completely. As soldiers stood by, hundreds of thousands marched through cities, besieging his palace in Cairo and Alexandria and the state TV building. A governor of a southern province was forced to flee to safety. It was the biggest day of protests yet in the upheaval that started on January 25th. Growing from youth activists working on the internet into a mass movement that tapped into widespread discontent. All eyes will now be on the military, Egypt's most powerful institution, and now its official ruler, handle the transition in power. Bureau Report, News X.
And let's talk to our guest right now. Mr. Qamar Agha is with us here in the studio. Sir, the most important thing, people say Egypt is al-Dunya, mother of the world. Now, do you see this kind of revolution gradually seeping into other countries as well? In fact, I suppose people would shiver down the spine if this kind of thing happens in Saudi Arab.
Sooner or later, it will spread all over the Arab world. It cannot be. These are winds of change blowing. People are sick and tired of the existing systems, in the Arabia. They want change. They want change. This is a movement, it started from Tunisia, then it came to Egypt, and now Jordan and many other countries. As far as, the Oman and Yemen, the demonstrations are taking place. Saudi Arabia, thousands and thousands of people have exchanged SMS messages asking people to support democracy.
Oh, they're already sending messages.
They've already
to each other.
SMS messages,
And
in Arabic. I'm talking about the Arabs,
Right.
So the mood has completely changed. People are tired of these military regimes. This is a movement against the politico-religious organizations. Also, this is a movement against the militancy, which has seeped in the entire Islamic world. They believe, they want to establish a modern, democratic, secular state in Egypt and other places also. The mood has changed in the Arab world. The youth, has taken a lead. It's a leaderless movement, but very soon leaders will emerge.
So perhaps we could see the rebirth of the Arab world with what happened in Egypt. But sir, Egypt is for sure euphoric. But what next? The future seems to be a bit vague at this point in time. You have the Muslim Brotherhood in the opposition. You have El Bardai, and also you have Ayman Noor. What do you see happening now?
You see, this is not a problem, First of all, I would like to make it clear. If the democracy comes, the militancy, the religious movements...
If democracy comes, the fear is the military could just continue full on?
No, they will try. They will not easily give up. They will not easily give up. They are trying, But it is not easy to suppress a movement of this magnitude. The army understands also very well. There is a virtual division in the army, Egyptian army I'm talking. The younger element or the younger officers are openly supporting the youth, openly supporting the masses. They are hugging each other. They are refusing to accept any other, So there is a division. The old guard is resisting, is still supporting the Mubarak. So that is the situation now, Gradually it is coming out, And in a democratic setup, as far as Sana, I'll tell you, all these militant organizations, religious militant organizations or Islamic religious organizations have emerged only in non-democratic setups. If the democracy comes, the militancy would go down.
Absolutely, there's a direct correlation with that.
Correlation, and this movement is for modernization, modern democratic setup. They are talking.
So there are many things which we do want to discuss with you here, but let's also get back to where all the action is. NewsX's Royden D'Souza was there at Tahrir Square to catch the pulse, the moment when it all happened.
He tries to get a sense of the jubilation and enthusiasm in the minutes following Mubarak relinquishing power.
This is Egypt's moment in history. It's been a long struggle for the past many decades, but a struggle that has finally been taken up by the youth of Egypt. It's taken them just under 3 weeks to throw out President Hosni Mubarak, something they had never dreamed was possible before. But that today has become a reality. And all these people around me are celebrating just one fact today, that Egypt stands united, young and old, Muslim and Christian. For them, this is the beginning of a long road towards democracy, but a democracy that they will cherish and protect in the years and decades to come. This is the historic Tahrir Square, where the People's Republic of Tahrir has prevailed upon President Hosni Mubarak. It is from here that the seeds of democracy will now grow and spread out all across Egypt, perhaps all across the region. This moment in time today is testimony to the character and will of the people of Egypt.
Now, the Armed Forces Supreme Council, the Egyptian military's top body, is now in command.
The council consists of highest-ranking generals and is headed by Defence Minister Field Marshal Hussein Tanwawi.
Yes, after Mubarak's resignation, a military spokesperson appeared on state television and promised the army would not act as a substitute to the legitimate government acceptable to the people. He said the military would announce the next steps very soon.
The Supreme Council of Egyptian Armed Forces extends all greeting and appreciation to the President Mohammed Hosni Mubarak for what he has delivered in his career at the time of war and peace, and his patriotic stance to give priority to the national supreme interest. And within this context, the Supreme Council of the Egyptian Armed Forces extends all the appreciation and salutes the memories of all the martyrs who have fallen, who have sacrificed their lives for the freedom and security of their country.
All right, and West Asia expert Mr. Qamar Agha is still with us in the studio. Mr. Agha, let's talk about the Deputy Prime Minister of Egypt now, Mr. Tantawi. I'd like to point out that a US embassy cable from March 2008 published recently by the WikiLeaks detailed Mohammed Hussein Tantawi as a close associate of Hosni Mubarak, and amongst other things it said that he was charming and courtly but also aged and change resistant. I mean, how do you see him leading Egypt from here on, and how effective would he be?
You see, I don't think he'll be very effective, first thing, Number one, this the entire body which they have set up, will not be acceptable to the people. They want a transition government ruled by the civilian.
Right.
So now this struggle will continue. It's just the beginning,
Would youth be a factor?
Definitely they are in the big factor, Now their demand is, there are many contenders for this, and they'll try to bring somebody. They want, actually what they want, the transition government, and immediate, within 60 days or possible, a free and fair election. So they're very careful about that, so that the political process began, That is a process which is going on, And now the demands will come, I don't think this would have much power. They'll have power. They have already power,
But not for long.
No, not for long. It's a very small period gap time. And these old guards, they have no sense what the youth wants,
Absolutely.
And there is a tremendous pressure on the government.
When Egypt has come a long way, they won't just give up at this point. They will make sure that what they want is there in place.
This is just the beginning, The first demand they have met. Now they're asking for elections. After the elections, they want a change in the constitution, or a perhaps new constitution, so that they can establish a secular democratic republic like India. They want to establish.
And what lovely pictures we're getting from Cairo of celebration. We saw the youth leading there. You also saw small children out there with their parents. But right now, NewsX correspondent Roy D'Souza caught up with veteran Egyptian actress Mohsina Tawfiq at the Tahrir Square.
She said this was a victory for the entire Egyptian society and not just the country's youth.
This is the first step in our popular revolution. Some of the state pulled apart, but there is another part still there. We must continue to have our army for us, and we give them what we must them to do.
Do you think this is a victory of the younger generation only?
No, all the Egyptian people accomplished this revolution. Not the youth only. No, this is popular this is the right name of this revolution, is the popular revolution.
But I'm sure you're feeling very proud of Egyptian